Oh, welcome back. Who are you?
It's me, Netflix. It's Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. Would you like to finish watching Love Actually?
Oh, is Michelle still using my account?
Michelle, your mom, your old roommate Dave, your grandma Rosie.
No, I'm just trying to wind down like an action or a comedy.
One of your favorites is Die Hard, the story of New York City detective John McClane.
No, something new.
I see you recently watched Titanic. If you like Titanic, you're going to love Fancy Boat Sink.
Do you guys just have Top Gun?
Unfortunately, we don't, but we do have Jet School, the story of a maverick ace, twisted in love with
Shameless. I hear that's good.
Oh, it's quite good.
Oh, it's the British version. Sorry. What about, like, True Lies?
Ooh, we don't have True Lies, but have I recommended Jet School?
No, I don't want to watch Jet School. Can I just look around on my own for a few minutes?
Be my guest.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 40 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for October 7th, 2016. I'm your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and streaming with me today, Josh, I leech everybody's streaming services, Haddix.
How's everybody doing?
And Kyle, everybody knows my password to all my subscriptions, Hougie.
That is so fucking true. What's going on?
Just watching some exciting playoff atmosphere games, and I'm talking that Arizona Cardinals, 49ers Thursday night football game. I think there's about 12 punts going on so far.
Does this have playoff implications?
I mean, down the line, it sure could. It's the duel of Blaine Gabbert and Drew Stanton, just like everybody expected.
The battle of the Titans right there. And I'm not talking about the Tennessee
Titans. They're playing
Titans.
Tennessee, though. I want to do it once. Damn it. All right. Whatever.
You messed it up. You said I thought they were playing Tennessee, though. That's not...
No, I said no, they're in Tennessee. The Titans are.
They sure are.
If I had to explain I didn't do a good job.
Do you remember the Titans?
I never saw that movie, to be straight up honest. I've never been a big fan of
Don't
Denzel.
even say Denzel Washington. Oh, my God.
I never really cared for him. I saw John... No, here's my thing. I completely judged him based on just John Q.
Well, I mean, that's your own fault right there. It's probably his worst
John
movie.
Q was an alright movie, to be honest.
I thought it was an alright movie as well, but it's definitely not up there in his, like, top 5 movies.
That's true. That's a fair point. Coming up in today's podcast, we're actually going to be talking about streaming services, like your Netflix, your Hulu, things like that. Kind of break down the growing of popularity in it, as well as what we like about it, what we don't, and give our recommendations. But before we get started, baseball playoffs started a couple days ago officially with the wild card matchups. And I thought we could take a couple minutes before we get into the actual podcast for this week and sort of discuss really quickly our playoff predictions that we had and how they're looking so far. So I went back and I thought, I'd start with the American League, as we're watching the Indians play tonight right now, taking the lead on the Boston Red Sox. And I gotta say, Hougie, your Orioles going to the World Series took a bit of a hit as they got eliminated to the Blue Jays.
It took extra innings and a walk-off home run for them to get out of it.
Terrible managing decision.
Oh, come on! It's pretty solid to have the best closing pitcher in baseball not be in a winner-take-all series. I think that's a pretty smart move, don't you think?
Yeah, showed to work out well for him. I will say though that my Blue Jays not only won that game but put a whooping on the Rangers today, 10-1. So looking pretty good about that. And,
I mean, not looking too far into it, but would you rather take on the Rangers or take on the Blue Jays?
I'd rather take on the Blue Jays all day.
Oh yeah?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I feel like the Rangers they're almost always in the playoffs, and they always seem to find a way to screw it up. Like I feel like they're always like that good team that's destined to not win it all.
It doesn't matter, dude. Bring them all on. That's what I'm saying.
In the words of Optimus Prime from what was that, the third Transformers movie?
I'll
take you all on.
I was waiting for
that.
I don't remember that particular quote, but I don't really remember a lot of quotes
when he dies
from the Transformers movies.
Dude, spoilers.
Spoilers. Come on.
I haven't seen the third movie. Probably because I was told not to go see it because it's horrible.
The third one was actually, I enjoyed the third one. I thought it was all right. The fourth one is hot trash, though. Which one's
the dark, or was it the what's the name of the third movie?
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. 2 and 4 were not very good. 1 and 3 were pretty good. 1 was really good. 3 was
4 was like literally one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which one's the one with Wahlberg?
That's
the fourth
4.
one.
Okay. Does that even have anything to do with the first 3 though?
Other than that, Transformers are in it, and like a couple of the other like side characters, I think, come back. So it's like it's just set later down. So I guess it's loosely based on them.
Yeah,
but there's no Sam Wawicki or whatever his name was.
We were talking about baseball, I think.
We were talking about baseball. Just real quick, we'll go to the National League playoffs here. And your Giants, Hoagie, still in it after a nice pitching performance last night, so you can still root on the hometown San Francisco Giants.
Hey, I will be very ecstatic, and I will put some money down and see if I go to one game if there's an Indians-Giants World Series, for sure.
Good luck with that. Cubs tickets, I've heard, are already in the thousands of dollars for the bad seats, and some of these, like, whatever the club seats are selling for $1 million already.
Jesus.
And imagine what it would be like for San Francisco. I would assume they'd actually be more.
No, I don't think they would. I understand where you're going with the San Francisco pricing, but I think it's just because of the Cubs going to the World Series is like such a huge deal that's why they're going that way. Where like San Francisco, it's like, well, if they don't do it this year, they'll do it in 2 more years, right?
I mean, if they keep the same trend.
So I think our World Series picks, the Cubs, the Giants, and the Nationals all holding strong. The only thing we got wrong in the playoff on that end of things was the Cardinals didn't make it. We thought they would. I will note, when I went back and read it all, Haddix only picked division winners, did not go any further picking wild card teams, kind of stayed out of the wild card picture.
Dude, I'm not wild like that, man.
Way to ride the fence on that one, dude.
Hey, dude, that's how I roll. It's all about that win percentage, right? Hey, it's about winning your matchups, guys.
He's not here to defend himself.
But that's, I just thought it would be interesting to kind of go with that. If when we get closer to the end of the month and the World Series nears us, we'll probably do some sort of preview or something. We'll see as the day gets closer. But today we're talking streaming services, and the reason this even came up is last month we were trying to think of our monthly topic podcast, and we all kind of brought up different ideas, and this one was actually Hoagie's idea to discuss, and instead of doing the month-long podcast, we're going to just spend a week on it, today's podcast, discussing it. And Hoagie, I'll let you start since this kind of was your idea to begin with. Why did you, was there a particular reason you wanted to bring this up as a topic?
Well, first of all, I think we spend a lot of time talking about sports and movies, and I think I don't know if you really lean this towards the tech side of things, but I mean, it's closer to that than tech and entertainment. So I felt like that would be a good change of pace of talking about, like DC movie universe and shit like that. And, then, we had a couple things about sports. I just thought this would be a good time. And I think we really missed the mark this year of when we were, there were a lot of series that came out that I think we really never gave a chance to give it its kudos, such as, Stranger Things and Transparency and House of Cards and all these other shows that had very good seasons this year. That we talked about, we previewed Game of Thrones and, talked about other TV shows too. And I felt like it was appropriate at some point to talk about the popularity of these shows, whether it was each one of them had their own podcast, or we'll just hit hit it all at once, which is what we're going to do here. Because I know that we're all very much into the binge watching craze that has taken over the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute before we kind of get into the services themselves. Like, I think it was about 2007 that Netflix went away from not went away, but split themselves up and started doing streaming online. Before then, it was strictly DVD rentals through the mail, created as a way to kind of combat like Blockbuster Video, things like that, where instead of having to worry about late fees, things like that, you can rent these movies, keep them as long as you want, and return them. And eventually they went to the streaming service, where you could use your computer and start watching movies and things like that, which at the time, when it first came out, you were limited to, depending on how you paid, 13 hours of content a month or something like that, which Haddix probably blows through in a day now.
It blows a lot of things.
Well, and so it's definitely taken on it's a whole nother lifestyle these days to how it was even 5 years ago. And I'd like to get I'll start with you, Haddix. What do you think made it so popular?
I honestly think the number one thing, there's probably multiple factors. I think the number one thing, and it's something that, I don't want to say as Americans, I guess as everybody, we love convenience. And you can stream from, these days, you can stream from your phone, an iPad, a laptop, a desktop, smart TVs. I mean, you could literally stream. You can stream on got some airplanes. Like it's ridiculous where you can actually stream things
anywhere
from.
You can get a satellite signal or a Wi-Fi signal.
Exactly.
You can pretty much stream.
So I mean, I just think you couldn't watch your cable from anywhere you wanted, but you could start watching these streaming devices from anywhere, and I mean, people love that shit. I know I do.
Yeah, for me, I think it even starts a little bit before that, because the accessibility of it now has really made it rise in popularity. Has made it more like you said, more convenient. I think it's made it more accessible to just everybody. But I think where it really started to gain traction was the fact that like TV shows, when TiVo came along and DVR, you were no longer had to sit at home. It wasn't like, oh shoot, it's Tuesday night, I want to watch, Law and Order. I have to sit down at 8 p.m., whatever it starts, and sit down and watch it for an hour. Otherwise, I hook the VCR up, get it programmed, and you can, get it to record a show or something like that, which was the way to, watch shows back in the day. But like, so that's why a lot of those shows, the Law and Orders, your sitcoms, things like that, there wasn't a whole lot of, if you missed an episode or two, you weren't missing out on a ton of things. Where once you had these DVRs and TiVos that could record multiple shows, and leave them on there for a period of time, it allowed, people to get more invested in an entire story. You could build a whole season's worth of stories. So I think by, sort of the development of TiVo and the addition of these more long-term series helped kind of lay the foundation for what would be like Netflix and things like that. And Netflix would start with the physical media. You could start going out and buying, season 1 of, Seinfeld came out. I can go buy that season on DVD and sit there and watch it. So it's sort of like the infancy of streaming, in my opinion.
The infancy of streaming started with porn. I'm going to say it right now. I think and I'm halfway joking, I'm halfway not. As far as having streamable media on your computer, I mean, the people that I think that really started was probably, YouTube and, various porn sites. I just felt like it was, when you're watching stuff like videos, when we were younger.
I think with what you're saying, though, is more a case of, because I don't disagree with you. Usually the porn industry is on the forefront of, technology when it comes to
they are trailblazing and eyebrow raising. They
really are. But I think they handle more of the technical end of things, where I don't think, yes, you could on YouTube or something like that watch, stream things, but I don't think it was what grew Netflix. The fact that you could start watching porn more freely on the internet wasn't the reason Netflix grew.
Well, my other point I was making was that when we were kids, starting to being able to stream or download anything, the first thing you had to be able to do is have a good internet connection. And, back when we were younger, internet fast speeds were something that, really weren't around. The best that you could do maybe was listen to music, download music, which might have taken you a couple minutes per song. But being able to download, I'm sure a lot of people remember downloading full movies and it taking a whole day for you to be able to even watch it later. And so to bring streaming into the forefront of being able to watch on demand video. That was a big deal. And obviously the internet and internet speeds had to catch up to that, to that idea as well. And it made a lot more sense that if you want people to be able to see more of the on demand video content, streaming had to be the choice. Just like how when we first were dealing with music, we wanted to have our content when we wanted to. We didn't want to, have to go to a store or in this case, go to a Blockbuster and go rent something and then have to return it. It's once again, going back to Haddix, it's the convenience of it all. And I know, like I said, I joke when I say that, that porn helped with this, but, I am a believer that once the technology was able to catch up in a way that, non-buffering media for video was a possibility, then you could start going into the Netflix and the later stages of YouTube.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So all that said, what is it that you like most about streaming service? What do you prefer? What is reasons for your enjoyment of Netflix and Hulu and things like that? What are the pros? What are the reasons to get it, to use it?
My biggest thing that I like about it is I've never really been a big fan of collecting physical media. Even with my video games, I do have a couple of games that I have the discs for. Especially if I get them for Christmas presents, then obviously people will just give me the games out of the box. But for the most part, I have a 4 terabyte hard drive that I have hooked to my consoles, and I just download everything. It's much more organized. It's hard for me to, I guess, justify getting a bookshelf and filling it with video games now that I'm married. It just, it doesn't exactly look good when you invite friends over and, people over to your house for some wine and cheese. And I'm like, oh, would you like to see my plethora of, Nintendo games over here?
You're just inviting the wrong people over for wine and cheese.
Seriously, dude.
Hey,
first off, why are you inviting people over for wine and cheese?
Hey, first of all, I've only been in this city for a year, right? I'm taking what I can get at this point. But yeah, I've just been a big fan of not having to physically have so many. Right now I'm looking on my desk right now, and right next to it is this. It's a dresser, and on top of the dresser is stacked, probably 10 high and about 3 back of all of my GameCube and Nintendo Wii games. They're just strewed about, and I have no idea what to do with them. They're just kind of just sitting around. But on the other side, all my Wii U games, minus maybe 2, are all on the hard drive, and it's just a much cleaner environment for the living room.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from in that. I'll argue that point in a little bit. Haddix, what do you like about streaming?
For me personally, I think it kind of goes a little bit back to the convenience side of it. I work at a computer all day, like the two of you do. I have the luxury of working from home, so while I'm working, I can stream TV shows, whether via Netflix or whatever, on my other screen while I'm working, and it's just right there. It's instant. It's like you were saying with the start of TiVo. I can watch it for a half an hour, and then if I have to do some work calls or if I got to stop or go somewhere, I just close my browser. When I come back, I can open it back up and continue watching it from exactly where I was at. I mean, it's basically just continuous TV action at your fingertips. And that's the enjoyable part for me. Or you go, if you go to bed at night and you want to lay in bed, but you want to watch a little bit of TV, you don't have a TV in your room, you can pull up your phone, stream the show that you were just watching while you were sitting in your office. It's just a convenience thing.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're not sitting there watching commercials. And when you're using Netflix and things like that, you don't even have to fast forward through commercials like you would on a DVR television show or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's very nice. For me, one of the biggest advantages to subscribing to Netflix or PlayStation View, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is it's a much more cheaper route for you to watch media these days. Instead of having to pay these cable companies the ridiculous amount of money that they charge for television services, to be able to just be a cord cutter and go to just online streaming, pay for an internet service, and in a Netflix and a Hulu or whatever you might be interested in, you do that and you're done. It's just perfect. And
it almost goes against common sense that they charge so much for that service. Like, outside of live sports, and then once again, there are streamable services that give you live sports, but there's not a lot of evidence that backs the cable companies that say that their service is superior by that much more money than other services at this point.
No, I think it is live sports at this point that is keeping them from lowering their cost or doing something different.
I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but at some point, I don't think cable as we know it is going to continue on. I think it's going to end up being some type of, you can pay for X amount of channels type of deal. They're losing too much money, I feel like.
Well, I'm a big believer that most of the major companies and channels are just going to, CBS is already doing it. They have their own streamable. I think it's like $9 a month that you can do, and you just get all the CBS shows, all the ones that come out like immediately. You can watch all the old shows, anything that's owned and licensed by CBS. You can watch all of it, and it's like $9.99 or something like that. Like a normal streaming service, something like $10. And so then you have to make that choice. You find out what kind of content you like, and and if it's enough packages where you're spending maybe four things for $9 each, so you're spending $40. That probably is cheaper than cable, and you're getting rid of a lot of channels that you never really care to watch.
Yeah, you've got to take into consideration your internet cost at that point too, but it's still you're almost guaranteed to have internet regardless at this point. If you're getting cable television, you're probably paying for an internet service, so that's almost just a given anyhow. But yeah, it's definitely a lot cheaper of a route than what they're charging for DirecTV, for Time Warner Cable, anything like that. So it's a good way to go to save money. And then on top of that, it's like you were talking about, sort of, Haddix, it's when you want what you want, you can watch, any show that's on there, you can just watch right then. You don't have to sit and say, oh, I got to wait till Tuesday for this show to come out. It's on there, ready. You just click play and you're ready to watch where you left off, and catch everything that's on there. And, Hoagie, you were kind of talking about it earlier, but there's a lot of quality programming on here too.
Well, the last couple of years, probably since maybe last, we'll go 4 years, maybe. Both Amazon and Netflix, they've had shows that have won Emmys for writing and for directing for the characters on the shows. House of Cards has won a couple of Emmys. Master of None, the first season, got one. Transparent has been one of the, biggest hits as far as, the Emmy crowd is concerned. That's an Amazon Prime, exclusive. I've only seen a couple episodes of Transparent, but so far it's actually been a very interesting show. But for the most part, it just seems like the quality, and I don't know if there are different rules for streaming, for the streaming services versus having the stuff on like an HBO, and maybe not so much an HBO, but like NBC, ABC, CBS, your normal cable companies or your normal cable TV syndicates. it just seems like on top of the fact that we are a binging type of community now, where it's just you can go through a whole season in a weekend. It also is nice to know that not only can you do that with the content that's available, but the content's actually worth watching the next episode. You can't binge like that unless the show is interesting, and the vast majority of the shows are interesting enough to binge.
Yeah, I mean, I think most shows on there, even the shows that are, they're showing old seasons of, whatever television show was on HBO or Cinemax or CBS, something like that. Like, you can sit there and watch whatever you want. And then, like you said, the quality programming that they put on there that are originals to that stuff are HBO, Showtime, like, quality level shows. They're not just throwing something together. And when House of Cards, I believe, was the first one Netflix came out as their first Netflix original, it was, they headlined with Kevin Spacey. Like they were not playing around with that. And that's it gives a lot of these people, they're credible shows by putting those people on there. But then also Netflix has done, especially, has given people a lot of, kind of artistic freedom to sort of do their own thing, play around here, have a season of this show. And they turn out to be great shows that normally, they're not going to get picked up on a Fox or something like that. So there's here's
the thing. The reason why those shows get canceled so much is that they're fighting ratings against other shows on other channels. So you'll have good quality content on ABC and NBC and that kind of thing, but the ratings don't show it. And it's a shame because there's a lot of good shows. I'm sure you guys can probably name at least one or two that you really enjoyed on either NBC, ABC, or CBS, but were cut because of poor ratings. And that's like really the fault of nobody except for the time slot that show might have been on.
It's the time slot, and these days they have like 100 new shows a season. So I mean, there's just not. Too many shows. They release
all these new shows with the expectation that they're cutting and canceling. That they're going to cut 20 or 30% of them at least. Yeah.
One that you really like Hougie was just saying, falls through the cracks because there's so many other shows on that it's just no one has time to like watch necessarily all the good ones.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, there's definitely more availability on here to watch these shows as they currently are. So what don't you guys like about streaming services?
Well, I think right now, unless I pay extra, I mean, if I want to watch sports, and I've made this concession before where if I really care about a game, I could always go to the bar and watch it. But once again, I'm in San Francisco now. It's really hard to watch the Indians and the Cavs and the Browns. When did you get to
San Francisco?
Dude, I seriously just like unpacked today.
Okay.
I believe that.
It's news to me.
Yeah. But it's tough because now for me, I feel like I have to get a streaming service. So to me, it's actually a good thing for me out here because there is a solution for me to watch like my former local teams. So for me, it's actually kind of a plus. When I was living out in Cleveland, it just kind of sucked knowing that in order for me to watch the Indians, not only did you have to have cable, but you had to usually had to pay for a certain kind of premium sports package to get STO or whatever, it's Fox Sports Ohio, which is where all the Indians games are played on. So the Browns, you were lucky because pretty much all those were being played on CBS. So you were fine with that. But yeah, I feel like the sports is usually your caveat when you feel like you have to have cable. But that's my main thing. And obviously, if you like a lot of different things and your main idea is to stream, then you might be paying a lot of money for a lot of subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could add up quick. Like you said, they're roughly about $10 a piece, depending on the service. And if you decide, I want Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, I'm also going to pay for some sort of like a PlayStation View or something like that, plus my internet. Now, next thing you know, you're paying for what would be a subscription to Time Warner, Comcast, whatever, something like that. So it definitely can add up quick. Haddix, how about you? What don't you like about the streaming services?
I mean, in addition to, what Hoagie mentioned about the sports, I know some of them differ, from your Hulus to your Netflixes and stuff like that. But typically on Netflix, you're not watching a show unless it's a Netflix TV show that you can watch as soon as they release
Netflix
it.
original, yeah.
Yeah, Netflix original. If you're trying to watch a show, like I like watching New Girl, which they don't put the old season of New Girl on there until the new one's about to start. So season 6 is coming out now. They just now put 5 on there. So you're watching shows later, and in some cases a lot later, than they're actually really aired on TV. So if it's like a big show with some plot twists in it that's going to get ruined for you, that's definitely one of the downsides to it.
Yeah, Netflix is going to have that. It's going to have that disadvantage because the only thing they can do is have the rights to be able to stream normally like rips from the DVDs of the season. So normally the season's not available until officially that the cable syndicate has that season available on DVD, and then they'd be able to bring it out then.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you're definitely and that's the other problem with watching. If you want to watch television shows that are on currently, you usually have to watch it through their on-demand service, and you're not skipping commercials that way. You're going to have to, and typically you have to have a cable subscription in order to watch any of their online. If you want to go to Fox's website and watch, last week's episode of New Girl, you can't do it unless you log in with your Time Warner account or something like that. So there's definitely some downside there. If you can be patient and wait a year for the shows to come out, then you're okay. But not a lot of the, if you're into The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, which is kind of a bad example, but a show like that's on basic cable, you're not going to have the luxury of waiting a year to watch it because those spoilers are going to be out there. So if you get it big into shows like that, you almost have to have some way of watching it live or within a couple of days or something like that. And that's where the downside to a Netflix or Hulu or something, you're not watching them right after they, live or when they first come out.
And I think a lot of people have that mindset that, like for me, like How I Met Your Mother, Parks and Rec, Dexter, and I can't remember the other one that I purposely didn't watch them at the beginning. Plus, I really never really watched a whole lot of like television on TV. Once again, because the whole scheduled programming is not something I'm good at keeping up with or being interested in. So really, like as soon as I found out that like, this show you would really like it, and it's already on like season 5, then I've got 4 seasons that I can binge and then finally catch up with season. Now at this point, I've always Game of Thrones is kind of a weird thing for me now because now I'm waiting for new content. A lot of these other shows, I've almost waited until I found out that, this is going to be like the penultimate or the last season of a show. And then that's when I actually start watching the show itself from the beginning.
Yeah, and I want to add, and this is kind of where you and I were going to differ a little bit, Hoagie, when you talked about you like streaming services because you don't have to have the physical media. For me, there are some downsides to not having that physical media. Netflix and these channels that, that have these shows on it, like let's say your favorite show is Seinfeld and it's on Hulu right now. There's a chance it's going to be off Hulu next month and you lose it. You can't watch that show whenever you want, where if you have the physical media, you're welcome to watch it anytime you want, where these shows and things like that get rotated in and out. So there is something be said to having the physical media because it's yours, you own it, you can do whatever you want with it, watch it whenever you want, where it's a lot cheaper to, I'm not buying 7 or 8 seasons of a show by watching it on Netflix, but if I don't watch it in the time it's on there, or if I want to go back and watch it again and it's gone, I lost it. So there is a downside, in my opinion, to not having the physical media.
And to back that up, God forbid the internet goes out and you can't
point as well.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice point. When Hoagie, you mentioned having physical copies or downloaded copies of games. That's one thing because it's downloaded, you can play it whenever you want. Streaming is a different story, and that's where I think it's having the physical media. There are some advantages to it. whether it's if the internet goes out, or you have to cancel your Netflix account for some reason. You still have that. You still own the physical media and can watch that show whenever you want. So it's not a huge con, but it is worth noting.
Well, I also think about when you have a show, or when you want to just stream a show and you're already paying $9.99 a month for Netflix or whatever. If I went out and bought the box set for a season, I mean, once again, you're also putting out money to have the physical copy. So when you're going back to, you're trying to save money by not having cable and going to the streaming services, but then saying, all right, well, if I want to get the box set of Dexter, I mean, I'm dropping over $100 to have the whole season.
Oh, you're definitely spending a lot of money.
$9.99, or I can watch the whole thing in a couple months, or even a month, and I just paid $9.99.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if it's a show that you want to watch once and be done with it, yeah, you're fine. If it's a show if it's like your favorite show for some reason, and your only way of watching it is on Netflix or something, then you run that risk that there's going to be a point where it's going to get taken off. For me, there's talks about Chuck getting removed off Netflix next month. I own one season of it. It's one of my favorite shows. Like, I just always kind of took it for granted if I ever wanted to watch it again. It's right there on Netflix for me to check out. So, we'll kind of move on here, and we've talked about Netflix, but not exclusively. We haven't really gone into details about any of the streaming services. So why don't we kind of talk about the streaming services at this point, the main players, and kind of give our reviews on them, which ones we recommend, which ones we don't, what we like about them, that kind of thing. And Haddix, I'll let you start. What is a streaming option that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I haven't like personally,
paid for any service in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't been able to successfully piggyback off of someone's subscription for all of these. The main one I've gotten a solid probably 8 years of use in is Netflix. Ever since I moved in, I think when I moved in with you was when I got your password.
You would think you would just give Kiser maybe just like a beer every once in a while, like a sandwich. I don't know.
There's been times where I'm like, one of these days I just need to write Kiser like a $200 check, which wouldn't even cover.
No, but I would appreciate it.
Yeah, but like,
I'm not gonna
just
turn that
be
down.
like hey, for all the times I use Netflix, here you go. Although it works out because I log in under Josh, so
it's like it's you.
I'm not lying. So
right,
but you're just screwing up his queue, is what you're doing.
Well, I mean, we watch like the same
with your Japanese porn.
And I will throw out there, I am not the only one who uses Kaiser's Netflix.
In fact, I don't even know who uses it these days.
I feel like when Netflix says like you can only have 2 users, but I feel like that's bullshit. Like, I have given mine out to at least a couple people.
As long as they're
too.
not all watching it at once, because I've had the issue where like I was watching a show and then I, paused it, opened up my phone to go take a shit and continue watching it while I was like on the toilet. And then like Haddix is watching at that point, and in theory, like I have 3 devices opened, and I'll get the error message that like you can't do this.
Dude, I have never gotten that using your Netflix, and there's no way that I've not watched it while 2 other people are watching it. You know what I mean?
It sure seems that way. Yeah.
But anyway, back on topic. To me, I think, and it is obviously very biased because I've gotten like the whole free month or whatever of Amazon Prime and of Hulu, and other than watching the cable TV shows that are added to those channels, they're just they don't add up, they don't stack up to Netflix. I just the amount of shows on Netflix, the quality of the Netflix original shows on Netflix, it's just a fantastic streaming service. I think it's by far the best, and I think it's what started this whole streaming revolution, and I think it's going to just get even bigger as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, they've got the Netflix originals. When House of Cards came out, it was sort of everybody keeping an eye on how things are going, and now they've got, tons and tons of Netflix originals at this point. Multiple seasons of shows that have just been, well received and well talked about. Like like you would any of these Game of Thrones and things like that that HBO has. So there's a lot to it, and like you said, Haddix, it's grown so big that there are now rumors that their stocks just jumped up in price the other day, and the rumor is it's because Disney's looking to acquire them, which could be massive. When you have Disney, because then you think, oh, all the Disney cartoons and things like that could join into it. Or, there's a lot of options that could happen if Disney acquired Netflix, both good and bad, I think.
Yeah, as much as, I love Disney, like I'm sure you guys do, and especially with them owning Star Wars now and stuff, I could see that becoming very awesome, but at the same time, I could see it turning into basically just a streaming service for Disney, where it's just Disney shit, and we would lose a lot of good TV shows.
And I hope they don't do that, because they're acquiring a business that's done so well, doing what they can do. Like, you'd think Disney would be smart enough to say, all right, you guys do that, but then we're going to add to it with our content. You might end up, it might be an additional cost. The cost might go up in it, which is, expected. But if they add more content, then okay, maybe it's worth it. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. We'll see whether they end up buying it or not. Disney did have a contract where, like, now their movies are coming. I think Zootopia just came out on Netflix, which is like the first Disney movie to come out for it very recently. So, where there's smoke, there's fire, possibly. We'll see. Hoagie, we'll talk about another service. Which one do you want to bring up that you like to talk about?
So I actually have I do have a couple. I think I have like 4 streaming services that I currently pay for right now. That I think you guys basically have access to them anyways.
YouPorn, RedTube, what else?
Hey man, that's cheap, man. It's only like $1. I mean, how are you going to pass up a sale? No, the one I'll talk about is Amazon Prime, which I think is the best for your buck overall. It's $99 for the whole year. You just pay it up front, and not only do you get what they call like their Prime Video, which is their free streaming services, which there's a lot of good stuff on there. It definitely doesn't have the library that Netflix has. I will give Netflix the nod to that. But the other nice things that they do offer is a lot of stuff that isn't on Netflix is definitely on Amazon Prime, even if it's like for like a $3 rental. So like a lot of the newer seasons, even shows that just had come out, you can order it like for like 99 cents per episode, like the week after it came out. So if you didn't have cable at all and you were okay with waiting a week to see a show, you could watch the newest episode of these shows on Amazon Prime as soon as the next episode had just gone off the air. Then normally they have the next episode, that previous episode available for streaming on Amazon Prime, which you can actually purchase for like you can either rent it for 99 cents or you can buy the episode, and then you can watch it as many times as you like. But it's not just what the entertainment part of it is. I shop on Amazon a ton. So when you get Amazon Prime, the more popular thing that people like about Amazon Prime is it's the free 2-day shipping that you get with buying things on Amazon.com. And then, so it's kind of, I'm fine with paying $99 up front, knowing that I'm getting free 2-day shipping on stuff that I probably buy 4 or 5 things every month on Amazon. So then the added bonus is the fact that I can watch movies and TV shows and things like that on the Prime Video service. So that's always like a nice little added thing. Not to mention they're also in the same realm of having actually very good content exclusives. Like I mentioned before, I have only seen a couple episodes, but it's definitely won a couple of Emmys. Transparent. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's the eldest Bluth on Arrested Development.
Let's say, yep.
He's the main character. He's awesome in the show, and it's getting a lot of press. And that probably will be the next show that I start binging with the wife. We're actually finishing up Louie right now on Netflix, and then we'll probably go over to that next.
Yeah, I've actually had no personal interaction with Amazon Prime, the service.
I'll give you the credentials like I do anything else.
I was going to say, yeah. Haddix, have you had any experience with Prime? Or?
Actually, Lindsay just signed up maybe a week ago. She ordered something off Amazon, and she's doing the free trial period. But I think we're actually going to get it afterwards because she buys a lot of things on Amazon, just like Hougie was saying. And actually the program that we're in for like our health insurance, you get rewarded points and you get Amazon gift cards for it. So we'd easily get our monies back on shipping alone, just like Hougie was just saying. And we're watching a show. It definitely isn't as many things to watch as a Netflix.
Right.
But there are some unique things on the show. There's some unique stuff though.
Yeah. We're actually watching a show right now I had never heard of, and it just had good ratings on Amazon Prime, and we're on episode 7 of 8, and it's actually a very good show. I've never heard anything about it. It just
what's it called? You're telling me.
It's like the Kittering Project or something like that, or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
The Mindy Project?
No.
That's on Hulu.
But yeah. I think we're going to end up getting it when her free trial is up. If anything, for the free shipping alone, but then like Hougie was saying, it'll also allow us to watch some TV shows if we want to run a movie, etc.
What's really good about about it too is that it's a really nice movie night. I feel like that is also the replacement of Redbox. If you don't feel like driving out to a Redbox and and renting a movie, then you just pull up your Amazon Prime account. They pretty much have every movie, just not streamable for free, but you can stream practically any movie. You just might have to pay a rental fee.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. The newer releases and things like that, you're saying?
Right. Yeah, like I think Apocalypse just came out on Amazon Prime, and I believe it just came out on DVD and Blu-ray as well.
Right.
So, yeah, they're pretty quick about it.
Tuesday or something like that. Yeah, so that's not bad. Worth looking for that reason, because that's one thing we didn't really talk about it. Netflix is fantastic for their originals and for a lot of television shows, but when it comes to their movie selection, it is really, really poor. It's a lot of B-rated movies and things like that. So,
well, and their problem with that is that's the reason why they're doing all these original stuff, because they knew that they were probably going to be dead in the water if they didn't find other solutions to make money. Because I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, probably around the time when House of Cards came out. They lost a lot of licensing agreements with like 20th Century Fox and Pixar and a lot of these other big movie studios. And they basically said, okay, you can stream we'll give you the rights to stream our movies until like 2009, and then after that, or 2010, and then after that, we're going to slowly start pulling, our shows away because we're going to have our own solutions, or Amazon Prime is giving us a much better deal and giving us more cut than you guys are. So then Netflix had to turn around and say, okay, well, how are we going to make money? Okay, let's go call fucking Kevin Spacey and make a show.
Right. One question for you on the Amazon Prime. We've kind of talked about with Netflix. Haddix can watch Netflix. I can watch my Netflix. I can watch my Netflix if I'm at a hotel somewhere. Like, it's very accessible everywhere I go. Is Prime pretty much the same thing? How many, can you and I both be watching the same Prime account right now, or no?
I think it has the same restrictions as a Netflix account. I think there might be like a certain number of people that can use it at once. I'd have to double check that. Maybe I can check it while we talk about something else. But as far as accessibility, I mean, you can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on a tablet, you can watch it on your PC, you can watch it on PlayStation and Nintendo Wii and Xbox.
Is there any type of app for like just a streaming part of it, or you have to always log in through the browser?
No, yeah, there definitely is an app.
Oh, okay.
It'll be called Amazon Video. It'll be called Amazon Video, I believe.
Okay.
So if you want to look that up, Hougie, cool. In the meantime, I'll bring up a service that I want to mention, and that's the PlayStation Vue, or Sony Vue. I call it PlayStation Vue because I'm watching it on my PlayStation, but it's a service that I've been now using for about a week and a half. I did their free trial and now I'm doing it. For $30 a month, you basically get a good amount of television channels. I get my local. I'll be able to watch the Cavs. I can't watch the Indians on there, but you can get your USA, your TNT, your TBS, AMC. Depending on there's a couple different packages you pay for. It's all streamed. You do it through your, PlayStation. I think you can do it on Roku, Sling, maybe probably the Amazon as well. There's a handful of different devices that you can watch it on, and its quality's been pretty good. I've had no problem.
Can you if you were staying at a hotel tomorrow night with your laptop and phone?
That's the reason I asked Hoagie, is I wanted to. This is the big downside. No,
okay.
You cannot. Even my girlfriend and I were planning on sharing this. She's got her apartment, I've got my place, and she works from home, so she's like, oh, I can't wait to log in and watch HGTV. I'm at the office. She goes to log in, and it gives her an error message saying, this isn't the IP address that you activated your account on.
Oh, shit.
If you switch to this one, you can no longer use the other one, and that's like permanent. So obviously she didn't do that. So no, you're stuck with you're stuck with the one house. So I can't even watch, even if it's my account and only me using it, I can't go watch it in a hotel room.
Even if you took your PlayStation with you? Correct,
because I'm not on that. It's not the PlayStation.
Is there a PlayStation
IP.
View app or anything like that that's outside of the PlayStation, or is it only when you have the PlayStation on?
You can watch it on the PlayStation. You can watch it on Roku and Sling, things like that. I don't think there's one for the phone. I'm not positive on that.
But you still have to be in the house.
You still have to be in the house, right. So you're going to be using it on one of those devices anyways. Now, I will say this. She could, like HGTV or Fox, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to watch, last week's episode of Gotham on Fox, you can watch it and stream it online, but you got to log in with a Time Warner account or something like that. Sony View is one of those accounts you can log in and watch it. So
okay.
You can do some of the on-demand stuff as though you had a subscription you were paying to like a Time Warner or DirecTV or something like that.
Okay.
So there's some freedom
nice.
there. Yeah. So you could get away. So she could watch her HDTV from her apartment in that regard. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, but it's not nearly as forgiving as Netflix and things like that, which I might want to add, if Disney takes over, I have a feeling they crack down hard on that.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it's a good service. I like it. I bought the Red Zone package. So for $40 for the season, I'm going to able to get the Red Zone channel on top of football. Quality is great. HD TV for everything. And then the other nice thing is it's, you go in there and you have your own personal account and you can add your shows. So I added South Park. I added, Gotham. I add, whatever shows around there, and it'll quote unquote record them when there are new ones on there. And then if I go on there to my shows, they're all there like DVR'd and ready to go. Anything that has aired. And you can go in there and watch it, fast forward and rewind as you want, like it's a DVR, but it's all saved to the cloud, so it's not taking up any space, and it will just have as many saved videos up there. So, like, in theory, the whole season of South Park is going to record itself on there over time.
What if you like joined in the middle? Like, let's say you got View in the middle of the season of South Park. Could you still go back and watch?
It'll go back and add all those, because I actually added a couple of them late, and sure enough, all the episodes are on there. So it's been really nice. I've been happy with it so far, and it's a cheaper option than going with, DirecTV or something. So that's we can talk about HBO Go. It's another streaming service. All I'm going to say is, if you like HBO shows, it's got them all on there, and it's a great way to watch any of those. And you can watch Game of Thrones live on it. So, I mean, that's nice too. You can watch the new shows as they're aired immediately on TV, which is something nice. So that's a great service if you enjoy those, HBO programs. And then the WWE Network, if you're a wrestling fan, it's a must-have. I mean, that's the only way to see it. All the pay-per-views, both old and new. You can't watch the immediate Raws and SmackDowns that happen, but that's because of USA, their deal there. But you can watch old ones. There's a lot of, they're adding content all the night. They're kind of adding their own specials, little spin-off shows, reality TV. Some of it's garbage, some of it's okay. But really, if you're a fan of wrestling whatsoever, it really is a must-have. And for $10 a month, you really can't beat it. Right, Hoagie?
I do enjoy it. And at the same time, it's two pay-per-views. You pay for two pay-per-views, you already paid for probably how much
how much it costs. Yeah.
How much it would cost anyway. So even if you're like a seasonal WWE wrestling fan, if you're going to watch, like back before we had this, we would still get probably Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and maybe a random one if the card was really good, maybe the SummerSlam as well. But you're dropping $40-$50 for each one of those, and for WrestleMania it's like $70. So I think now they've raised the price on me. I think it's like $12 a month instead of $9.99.
Oh, it's not $9.99? No.
Yeah, I think it's $12 now.
Ploy.
But at the same time, it's so well worth the price.
On that topic, do you think WWE ever goes to just streaming their shows, or will they always have Monday or Raw and SmackDown on cable?
I think when it comes down to revenue and advertisement, they're probably going to have to be on USA until their contract's up. And if USA is willing to drop money for them to be on there, it makes sense for them to be on there.
Somebody will always pay them to be on. They're getting 3 million viewers every week, even when it's not good programming. And you really can't get a better thing than that for a cable television channel like that. So they'll always have a deal with somebody that's going to be better than them just streaming. But it's a good option for some of these other, something that like TNA or something like that, like down the line. Like I could see them going to a streaming service if they got somebody to host it. Maybe make a deal with Netflix or something.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, by the way, I did look it up real quick. It's 2 users simultaneously. They can't be streaming the same title as the other person. So like if you and your girlfriend were both watching the exact same movie at different places, you couldn't do that, but you can watch, 2 people can watch 2 different things at once. And if you have like Roku or Kindle Fire Sticks and stuff like that, there a lot of that content you can actually download ahead of time. You can the ones that are streamable you can download, and then they'll hold on to it for, I think it's like for 4 or 5 days, and then you can watch it whenever you want.
That's cool. We're kind of getting to the end here. Last thoughts, either of you guys, anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make a mention of before we wrap things up?
Not really, other than not only the shows that we mentioned on Netflix are good. Lindsay and I have watched a lot of random Netflix originals that are, I don't think I've disliked one of them yet. So definitely worth the price that Kiser's paying.
I agree. And also, really, to your point, Netflix originals always worth a shot. Watch an episode or 2 of it. They're almost all good programming, good quality programming. And some things are a little weirder than others, but, everybody, there's always something for everybody on there.
Yep. And we'll post Kiser's log information.
It's not just like dramas and things like that. There's also some very good documentaries on Netflix. I've got stuck on watching a lot of those. The only thing I also wanted to jump on real quick to say is, some honorable mention on, there's a lot of other streaming services that are not just movies and TV. I mean, obviously people have used Pandora and Spotify. For video games, you have GameFly and Steam. There's just like everything nowadays is moving a lot towards the, just on-demand content and, non-physical media. And it's not, like I said, it's definitely getting a lot more press, but, I'm sure everybody here has used Pandora for free. I know a lot of people who pay for it, but I know some that do, and they say it's worth it just to get rid of the ads. But yeah, like I said, I think everything these days is moving towards, non-physical, cloud-based, solutions. And it's very, very exciting to see what's going to come. I mean, all this stuff is hardly even 10 years old. So, what's it going to be like 10 years from now? It's pretty exciting.
We'll have to see for sure. I can't disagree with any of that. So that's the show really in a nutshell. We've kind of given our opinions, talked about the phenomenon that is streaming services. And to your point, Kyle, I think it's only going to get better from here. Especially if the big players like Disney and stuff get into it, then it's really curious to see what happens with both live sports, especially with Disney owning ABC and ESPN. Like that's going to be something interesting to see what happens there. And then just the cable companies in general, how they're going to respond to all of this. So we will see going forward there. Let us know on Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. What you think? What are your favorite services? What do you enjoy? What are your shows? Maybe you give us some recommendations. And always remember to subscribe on iTunes. Give us that feedback. pseudonerdpod.com. And don't forget, Hoagie actually posted a recent, what do you call that segment? The Go Trivia game?
It's called Haddix Should Have Won, but he's an idiot and couldn't fucking win. Test your knowledge.
Test your knowledge. There you go.
That's a long one.
So
it's a long abbreviation. We'll cover that later.
Next week we're going to do a board game podcast. Talk about the growing popularity of new style board games. So we'll see how that goes next week. In the meantime, go out there and stream some movies. From the home of Boxcast, a smarter way to stream, to the home of Netflix. I'm Josh Kiser. He is Josh Haddix, and he is Kyle Hoagland. And we will see you guys next time.
Have a good Friday.
They're actually just down the street from where I work. See ya.
Go Tribe.